Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Happy Mind, Happy Life podcast, where we take a few minutes each week to pause, breathe, reflect, and connect about how we can create more peace, more joy, and more calm in our everyday life. I'm your host, Michelle Werdeman, and I am so grateful you decided to hit play today. What is happening, my friends? Welcome back to the Happy Mind, Happy Life podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Werdeman, and I am very glad you're tuning in today. A few weeks ago, I shared an episode about something I think a lot of us can relate to, and it's why we can get to the end of a day and we maybe not even had a lot to do that day, but still feel mentally exhausted and drained. And after that episode, I heard from quite a few of you that it really resonated. Like, you totally got it. Because in that episode, I talked about how being mentally tired isn't always about how much we've done. Sometimes it's about how much our brains have been taking in and processing from the time we wake up. Between the phones, the notifications, conversations, scrolling, the news, background noise, and then, of course, our own thoughts, where we have anywhere from, 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, they say. But yeah, when you really start to notice all of that, it makes sense that we get to the end of the day and just feel mentally tired. I know I do sometimes. Even when it doesn't look like we've done all that much. And that was really the inspiration behind something we're doing right now inside the Happy Mind, Happy Life community within the app. And it's 21 Days Still Calm. We're 5 days in as I'm recording this. And I've already gotten some really great feedback from people who are participating. So I thought I'd share some of what we've been practicing with you here on the podcast. And whether you decide to want to jump in, it's not too late, or not. These are just simple things that you can start bringing into your own life today. And one thing I just want people to understand is that this isn't about adding to your to-do list or trying to create 21 new things to help you. This isn't about more to do, because that would defeat the purpose. If we're already taking in too much and feeling mentally overloaded, the last thing we need is another checklist of things we're supposed to be doing perfectly. So instead, we started the first day really with awareness. And it was just noticing like how much we're taking in throughout the day. Think about your own routine. Like, how long after you wake up do you maybe reach for your phone or turn on the news? When you get in your car, do you automatically turn on the radio or a podcast or a book? If you go for a walk, do you immediately put your earbuds in? Are you cooking, dinner with something playing in the background, or eating breakfast, lunch, or dinner while maybe you're scrolling or you're listening to something? And then think about all those tiny little spaces throughout the day. If you're standing in line, are you looking at your phone? If you're waiting for an appointment, are you looking at your phone? Sitting in the car, waiting for kids, having your coffee. How quickly do we reach for our phones to fill even 30 seconds of empty space? And I'm not saying any of these things are bad. 100%. I'm not saying that. I'm not going to sit here on a podcast and tell you not to listen to podcasts or things. No, it's not about judging what we're doing. It's just simply becoming curious about how often we're giving our brains something else to process. And then asking ourselves a really simple question. When does my brain actually get a break? Not a break where you're scrolling, not a break where you're just sitting, chilling, watching TV, not even necessarily a break when you're just listening to something relaxing, but an actual moment where nothing else is coming in. And once we start becoming aware of that, we can start to intentionally create moments throughout our day when we don't have inputs coming in. They don't have to be big. Maybe it's 30 seconds you start with. Maybe it's a minute. Maybe it's just stopping a few times throughout your day and taking a moment, closing your eyes, placing a hand on your heart, and just taking a breath, and not trying to necessarily, feel calm in that moment. You're just stopping, you're pausing, and you're just noticing. You just bring yourself back to the present moment, because so much of our day can be spent responding. What's next? Who needs me? What do I need to answer? What do I need to remember? Where do I need to be? Where do my kids have to be? What's happening later? And sometimes just this little pause is enough to remind us, I'm right here, right now. And that brings up another part of this journey that I think is really important, because when we do take a moment to bring ourselves back to the present, and I really enjoy putting my hand on my heart. There's something about just the physical, connection that you have that helps send signals to your nervous system that you are calm, and helps really just bring you into that particular moment. Because the truth is, we can put down our phones. We can turn off the television. We can shut off the radio. We can create all the external quiet in the world and still have a whole lot of noise happening inside of our heads. We are replaying conversations from the past, whether it's 5 minutes ago, yesterday, heck, even years ago. We're thinking about what we have to do tomorrow. We're worrying about something that might happen next week. We're thinking about, again, something we said, something somebody else said, something we maybe should have done differently, so we think. Or we're having an entire conversation in our heads with someone who isn't even there. I know you can all relate to that. I know I find myself having conversations sometimes that I anticipate they're going to happen. I'm like, what am I even thinking? But yeah, our bodies can be sitting in one place while our minds are somewhere completely different. And so part of creating a quieter mind is becoming aware of that too. Where is my mind right now? Am I actually here in this present moment? Or am I somewhere in the past? Am I somewhere in the future? And when you notice that your mind has wandered, and it will, you don't need to judge yourself for it. You don't need to try to no, I can't think, I have to be here. You don't need to force anything. You just simply notice and then just guide yourself back to the present moment. You come back to your breath. And one way that we are doing this throughout this practice is coming back using your senses. So taking note of, what do you see around you? What can you hear? What can you touch? What can you smell? This is a great practice to bring your mind back into this moment. And then we started to intentionally experiment with not filling some of the empty space. So what does that mean? So maybe it's driving somewhere without turning anything on. Maybe taking a walk and don't listen to anything for maybe the first 5 or 10 minutes. Make dinner without having something playing in the background. Or for me, this is one of my favorite things that I've been doing a lot lately, is when I sit and have my coffee, that's all I'm doing. I am sitting in my favorite comfy chair, usually have the window open unless it's oppressingly hot, which it has been. But I'm not doing anything else. I don't have any noise in the background. I simply am just drinking my coffee, and that's it. Because by doing that, I am feeling the warm cup, I am smelling the coffee, I am tasting the coffee, and I am 100% present in that moment. And I will say, when I started to do this a little while back, after a couple minutes, I was like, okay, what's next? Like, let me see what time it is. Let me do this. And it was a little uncomfortable at first. But the more I got used to it, it feels really, really good. So maybe there's one little part of your day where you're normally consuming something. And what if you simply just don't? This isn't about adding, again, something new or to do in your day. This is actually taking something away. And I really love that because there's so much messaging out there about what else we need to be doing. And another, I love morning routines, but it's very easy to get inundated with all of the stuff on social media and all the things you should or you shouldn't be doing, another habit, another book, And what I love about this, it's actually just removing some of that noise. So maybe ask yourself, like, what if I don't need another thing right now? What if I actually just need a little bit more space? And I will tell you, when you start intentionally creating that space, you may notice that it feels a little uncomfortable. Like you might automatically want to pick up your phone. You might think, well, I should be, doing something else. You might feel a little bit bored, and that is okay. Just notice it. Because we've become so accustomed to filling every empty space that simply allowing the space to exist can take practice. And that's what these 21 days are about, practice. We're not trying to master calm. We're not trying to completely change our lives in 3 weeks. And we're definitely not trying to do this perfectly. We're practicing creating little pockets of space throughout the day. And then we practice them again. So if you can give yourself 5 minutes of quiet, see if you can do that again tomorrow. And then maybe eventually 5 minutes becomes 10. And then maybe you start noticing that you actually enjoy driving somewhere without anything playing. Maybe you begin leaving your phone inside when you go sit outside with your coffee or go for a walk. There's so many different areas where we can start to tune the noise down. And first, like I said, we started with awareness. Then we were intentional about it. And these are starting to add up. So I'm really excited to see where the rest of these practices start to really help create more quiet, more peace, and more calm. Because maybe you'll start to drink your coffee and just enjoy being present with it. Maybe you'll start to enjoy walks with just looking at nature or listening to nature. And maybe you'll start to, just sit and not scroll for a while or not watch TV. And just take 5 minutes each day until you can start to maybe create more. And then think, like, is this working? Am I calmer? And what do I notice when I give my mind a little bit of space? So if you're listening to this and thinking, okay, I could really use more of this, I would love to have you join us. It is not too late. Like I said, we're only 5 days in to the 21 days as I'm recording this. So it is absolutely not too late. Everything we've already done is waiting for you inside the Happy Mind, Happy Life app. And you can start right at the beginning at your own pace. There's nothing to catch up on. There's nothing to do perfectly. And if you haven't tried the app yet before, you can actually try it free for 7 days and just come be part of the journey with us. So yeah, but whether you do join us or you simply just take something from today's episode and begin practicing it on your own, I hope you remember this. Your mind doesn't always need more. Sometimes it needs less. Less noise, less input, less pressure to fill every moment, and a little more space to simply just be. So thank you so much for being here with me today. Take care of yourself, and I will talk to you soon. Cheers, my friends. And if you do want to join us in this 21-day journey, head over to michellewerdeman.com. I will put the link in the show notes, and you can try your 7-day free trial directly from the link. Thank you so much for being here and spending time with me today. If this episode resonated with you, or you think someone in your life could really use this message, I'd love for you to share it with them. And make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any upcoming episodes and conversations. You can also stay connected with me on Instagram at Michelle Werdeman, or visit michellewerdeman.com for upcoming events, offerings, the Happy Mind, Happy Life app, and so much more. And as always, cheers to creating a happier mind and a happier life.